Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Futures with me, Anthony Crudele. We have a fantastic show for you today. I will be joined by legendary trader Linda Raschke, trader and coach Mandi Rafsendjani, founder of Yoga 2.0 Shaun Jacob, trader and performance coach Dan Hodgman, and last but not least, futures trader Dani Sittloh. Welcome to Trading Futures. Linda, thank you so much for joining me.
Anthony, thank you for having me.
It's great to see you, great to have you here. So Linda, you've had a long, successful career as a trader. What are some of the keys to your success?
I think just having a total lifestyle that's been immersed in the markets and the business and the whole culture, the people around me, it's been my life. And so I think with any professional discipline, having no other distractions, basically.
So you just embraced it, you passioned it, you embraced the grind, as we call it?
No, you want to know the real truth?
Yeah.
Okay, I blew out after 6 months, so I spent the next 6 years digging myself out of debt, so I really was an indentured servant.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Most of us can relate to that.
Right. I didn't have any choice. I had to stay in the business at that point. And of course, I was on the trading floor, so I had to pay back my clearing firm.
What's a day in the life like for you now?
It's very low key, actually. You might think that it's just a little bit stressful, high energy, but it's very routine. I wake up at the same time, take the dogs outside, come down, check the monitors, check my positions, go up and make tea, come back down. And then there's a steady ritual all day long. There's a certain flow, how the day unfolds. And, then when the markets close, I have to step out of the office for a little bit. And then I come back in at night and study the chart. So it's very consistent, you might say.
How many markets are you trading these days?
I pretty much concentrate on about 24 futures markets, and I might only have positions in 6 of them at a time, maybe trading 1 or 2 actively during the day.
All day trading, or are you holding positions for long periods of time? Talk to us about that.
I do a blend of both. Of course, I trade intraday because it's like if you're walking down the sidewalk and you see a dollar bill, you're going to pick it up, right?
Yeah.
But I also hold positions anywhere from, 1 day to a week type of, time frame.
A question I get from many people, they're like, next time you see Linda, ask her what advice she would give new traders. So could you give not only the new traders a piece of advice, but the veteran traders?
I would just say, first of all, have a lot of patience, because with anything, there's a long learning curve. I mean, it's analogous to being a professional golfer or a tennis player or a surgeon or any discipline where you have the ability to make a lot of money, even a musician. It takes a lot longer than people realize, not only to see different market environments, bull markets, bear markets, volatile markets, dead markets, but to learn your response, to those different environments, as well as just finding the style that's going to suit you. And then it's really a matter of getting to know it intimately well, and that just takes a little bit longer than people think. So it's not a pure intellectual game or reading books. Reading books actually, I think, can be helpful, but I think that you'll be better off just studying the charts for yourself. So that's my opinion.
For the new trader specifically, what do you suggest for them the first step they should make in learning how to trade futures?
Get a simulator. Don't do it with real money, and start seeing the patterns that you see. Then print off a chart at the end of every day. Circle the turning point. See what that looks like. Put them in a binder, and all the things that make sense to you. So by truly doing your own research and top-down study, I think that shortens the learning curve, as opposed to reading about, here's this strategy, here's this indicator, here's these Bollinger Bands. If you go and really see for yourself yourself in the charts what it looks like when support is being formed or resistance is being formed or when a market's breaking out. What does the volume look like? And if you study these things for yourself, I think it's like far more meaningful.
I love that advice, Linda. Now, we're going to go to the charts here in just a moment. What are we going to be looking at today?
I thought today I would just show 2 days in the S&Ps, and even though we have a bar chart up there, I wanted to show conceptually how we can think about moves off the opening price, spot some of my favorite trades, which anybody can do in one, instantly. And it doesn't really matter if it's a 1 minute or a 5 minute chart or a tick chart. It's more, what is the market doing and what would be a logical thing for it to follow through on the next step. So we'll have some fun looking at one indicator that's the market internals, the ticks.
All right, well, let's go do it.
All right.
Next up, everybody, Linda will share with us one of her favorite trade setups in the E-mini S&P. Stay tuned.
This is my headquarters. This is where I trade and manage my portfolio. Since I added futures, I have access to the oil markets and gold markets. Okay, I'm plugged into equities, trade confirmed. And I have global access 24/7, meaning I can do what I need to do. Then I can focus on what I want to do. Visit learnfuturestoday.com to see what adding futures can do for you.
Welcome back, everybody. Linda and I are now at the charts. Linda, what do you have for us today?
Anthony, we have an E-mini chart that opened up 4 days ago, a gap down after a big downtrend. I'm simply showing a bar chart with the ticks plotted underneath, and here we've got the VIX and the breadth, which you can see look almost inversely correlated. And the first thing I want to point out is that traders love gaps. I love gaps. So in this case, we gapped below the previous day's low. My first play is to see if we can trade back up into that gap area. The next thing, the market did a test and reject. So we sold off in the morning and we came back up. Here is one of my favorite trades. Looking to buy if we then make new highs on the day. So we take out the morning's range. And you can see, first of all, by the ticks making new highs here early on, it was indication that something was going on. There was a buy stop area here, and then of course our buy when we started to make new highs on the day that was confirmed by new tick highs as well. And this is a very sweet trade. Also, you can see that the VIX made new lows on the day. So I love that in the afternoon session, looking to initiate to the long side or press along when the VIX does make new lows on the day, and vice versa.
I love this setup because you have multiple layers to it, multiple confirmations. Is this typical for you to have multiple things on your chart for confirmation of this type of trade?
This is exactly what I look at when I'm trading the E-minis during the day, yes. And I'll look to make anywhere from 1 to 3 trades a day.
Question I have about this long, you get in right as it breaks out, and then also where would you put your stop, and then where would you be looking for a potential target?
Those are great questions. So here was also a long. I just by automatic, trade stuff, always have a stop at that previous high, the morning high before noon, or vice versa, the low. I don't even have to look at it. It's just resting there just in case. And even if I'm already long, it just adds a little bit more. Now, it may not run up and close on the highs as we did today, but here's the trick. You always have a chance to get out or grab a few ticks if it doesn't go as fast as you would like it to. So you never get a chance to re-enter the best trades, but if you don't like it, you have the option of immediately scratching or doing something like that.
So this is a trade to where pretty much every day you're just working in automatic entry if this does happen, if you see this type of setup.
As long as if it's been a down day and we're weak in the morning, I want to initiate to the long side if we reverse and show afternoon strength.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to the next chart. Another E-mini S&P chart. What are we seeing here, Linda?
Coincidentally, this happened to be the very next day, and we saw the inverse, where the market opened up above the previous day's pit session close. Again, a very seductive gap for a trader to trade. And the nice thing about these gaps where we don't trade above the high of that first 5-minute bar is very often it leads to a trend day down. So that's indeed what we got here. So we first filled the gap. That's a natural thing that everybody in the marketplace sees. We had a tick divergence where the loss of momentum showed up in the ticks. The price made a little lower, a higher high to this swing high, and the ticks made a lower high. Again, that's sort of a gimme trade, a little ABC pattern. And here we have the inverse where, you know, we might have just closed in the middle of that range, but if you had a resting sell stop right below that low, because once again, we had been up in the morning and now we're taking out that low, you know, you can see that a trader had the option of managing it, taking partial, or we retested that low, or pressing it towards, you know, the close of the day. So it just shows basic structure. What is the market doing for the day? Is it gapping open? Are we making new highs or lows in the afternoon? And very simple concepts, and that's pretty much how I trade.
Question I have for you, because this move continued lower, how are you holding a winner throughout this? Are you trailing stops? How does all of that work?
I tend to put an initial stop and not be so active about trailing a stop, but I'm watching the charts for confirmation and continuation. And so something like this, you can see the ticks making these extreme new lows was like a momentum oscillator making new lows. And of course, the VIX continued to rise and the breadth continued to fall. So as long as we see supporting internals, I will stay with the trade.
Great insight, Linda. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today. Next up, everybody, Mandi Rafsendjani will join me to talk about how to use charts to read traders' behavior. So stay tuned.
Why trade with TradeStation? It's innovative, easy to use, and totally freaking sweet. With powerful tools to track and execute your trades and low per trade commissions on stocks, futures, and options. Upgrade your trade at TradeStation.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We're now joined by Mandi Rafsendjani. Mandi, please tell us how these charts can help you read traders' behavior.
So these charts are from the Tony Robbins website, where you can do a free what's called disk profile. Now D stands for dominant, I for influencer, S for steady, and C for conscientiousness. But it is so much more than that. These charts show us how traders naturally would behave in their normal life. And how they behave in their normal life, we can then get feedback on how they would perform in their trading and what trading strategy would suit them more, the short term, the longer term, what pitfalls they most probably encounter, and what they can learn and how they can improve. Now this chart, for example, you can see the adapted and the natural style. The natural style is your sweet spot, right? When you're at home, no one challenges you, there's no stress in your life, how you would naturally behave. Now the adapted style shows you how you behave under stress and under pressure, and which we have a lot in trading, right?
Yeah.
Now you can see when I have a trader who has these kind of so different charts, I know they're under stress, and we need to start working on their stress management before we can go into performance coaching, before we can look at their charts and their statistics and how to improve the performance in their in their trading, because I know there's something going on in their life that they will have an internal conflict that needs to be resolved first. Now, when we look at this next chart, so this is a chart that's what we call the millionaire tick, when we have a high D, low I, low S, and a high C, millionaire tick. These traders are usually traders who find it much easier to perform in trading because naturally their behavioral pattern is most suited for their trading. And when we look at the next chart, this one here, as you can see, it's inverted, right? Naturally speaking, that wouldn't be as suited for trading, because these traders are with a high I. These are people who like to do what they feel like doing, right? Not what needs to be done. And the high S's are very people-focused rather than think-focused, so focusing on their work. But not to worry, when we have a trader who has a high I, high S, simply what we need to do is we need to look at this chart, so Linda, for example, has a high D, higher I and a very high C. So we need to look at people like Linda, like traders like Linda, because one of my mottos is the fastest way to succeed in trading is to model those who already succeeded and add some tools to our toolbox, which are the high D. So that's the facts and figures focused, statistics focused, backtesting, and the high C, which is high routine. Linda spoke a lot about routine and structure and habits. And what we then do is, instead of saying, oh, this is who I am, I will never succeed, we say, no, what are my gaps? And what can I learn from traders like Linda to bring more tools into my toolbox and so be able to succeed as well?
This is very interesting. So this is actually Linda's numbers?
Not actually, no, but it's very similar. Linda has a higher I. That's why she's able to stand here and communicate with you like a world champion.
Linda, what do you think about all of this?
I think Mandi's message in her work is extremely positive because it really says there's not an optimal profile. There's not just one type of category that can make it in trading. It's more of the style that fits you and what types of adjustments do you need to make in your routine in life. And truly, I've seen Mandi work with people and anybody has an equal opportunity to make it, not just based on their personality.
No, I completely agree with you, Linda. If there's anything I've learned from being on the trading floor, is that there are no two traders alike.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Mandi, this was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Next up, everybody, we will hear from Dan Hodgman with Topstep's Moment of the Week. Stay tuned.
Why trade futures with TradeStation? You can trade over 80 products from home, work, or on the go with a powerful, easy-to-use interface and prices that let you focus on padding your wallet, not emptying it. Upgrade your trade at TradeStation.com.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm now joined by Dan Hodgman. Dan, what's Topstep's Moment of the Week?
Anthony, this is an awesome time to talk about S&Ps. We've been hearing about them a lot, making new highs. It's always exciting. You get really, really amped up when you hear about it. And one of the most interesting things is when you're trading all-time highs is where's my opportunity? Obviously, we want to be long in those opportunities. But when we start testing new waters, there's going to be sell-off opportunities, especially when you're an intraday trader. It's hard to find the big day that's going to be a full down move, but when you can find those small opportunities inside those days, it's really exciting. And Anton out of Russia, one of our funded traders, was able to make a really nice, simple profit out of, again, just framing out his trade like we talk about so often. And so Anton here just took some time taking a look at the S&P 500 and framed out everything on a daily chart here. Where are my previous resistance and support? What's my trend doing? And where's my opportunity inside that? Obviously, he wants to be long down towards where those two meet right up in here. Obviously, that's an opportunity to be long, but you can find some short opportunities trading there. And that's exactly what Anton did. As we look a little bit closer here on this 30-minute chart, we've kind of established simple short time frame support and resistance. Obviously, we had a little resistance here. The market finally broke through, showed slight bit of support, and once we opened up, it made a check right up at that resistance level. And the best part about this, there was no hesitation on Anton. He took this opportunity and jumped right in at that point of resistance. His risk in this was less than 2 points. That's pretty awesome to be able to find those opportunities when trading the S&P. Less than 2 points, that's under $100 per contract. And he wasn't getting crazy. He wasn't looking for this market to work all the way down. He looked for a profit target within reason, managed those expectations, found a prior swing low, said, you know what, that's where I need to get out of this. He took a $450 profit per contract on a simple, short opportunity in the S&P 500.
Theme I've noticed a lot lately, speaking with you, is how many of the Topstep funded traders are starting with daily charts.
Absolutely.
And just a quick question about that daily chart. We talked about you had the uptrend and then the horizontal line. Is this from the daily?
This is, yeah, that's just continued down where the the support and resistance line was.
Yeah, so that's an area where he saw that low was triggered off of it, as you mentioned. Didn't really get along there, but saw resistance from a prior area, and then you said took 2 points of risk.
2 points.
Okay, the question I have is why 2 points?
Because he thought as soon as it accepts right above this level, hey, I want to be out. I don't want to put that much risk on the table. That's the opportunity where it's that question of, do I want to be long or short here? And he chose to be short because it showed that resistance. He believed if it accepted above there, it was going to accelerate to the upside really quick. And he wanted to set it up so he could be long on the other side of that support and resistance line.
Now, is 2 points of risk typical for his risk parameters?
It is, and as a matter of fact, that's pretty typical across most of our funded traders. We're seeing our funded traders on an average, their losing trades are approximately $100 to $150 per trade, and their profitable trades are between $3 and $350.
Just randomly picking those support levels, any indicators or anything else along the way? I mean, I love simplicity, but it's
a
this
simple
is very
swing low.
simple.
It was that simple swing low of defining where it can go. Obviously, the more excitable level was that long-term support level, but it wasn't enough. There wasn't enough information to get him down there, and therefore he wanted to find something a little bit shorter to make sure he could lock in some profits.
Gotcha. It could potentially go back and test here, but not everything always goes to the potential target, so you pick something in the middle. Yeah, great stuff.
Exactly. And so some of the lessons in execution, obviously the first one was manage those expectations. You know, that's what he did there. He simply managed his expectation on that trade and realized I might not see $1,000 move in this, but I think it's pretty reasonable to see $400 or $500 in a trade. Also, trading extremes. He traded that extreme up in that support and resistance line, and it allowed for ideal risk management, keeping things extremely tight. You can take multiple opportunities when you're risking such little in each trade. There's always intraday opportunities. Even though the market is trending in an upward direction, you can find those short opportunities. Just taking a simple look at the 30-minute chart, taking a closer look at what the day is giving us. And lastly, just don't be greedy. Again, find those smaller opportunities to lock in some of those profits.
Great lessons this week. Love the simplicity and great execution. Thanks again, Dan.
Absolutely.
Next up, everybody, Dani Sittloh will tell us what's on her radar using Wazzabull. Stay tuned.
This is my headquarters. This is where I trade and manage my portfolio. Since I added futures, I have access to the oil markets and gold markets. Okay, I'm plugged into equities, trade confirmed. And I have global access 24/7, meaning I can do what I need to do. Then I can focus on what I want to do. Visit learnfuturestoday.com to see what adding futures can do for you.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm now joined by Dani Sittloh. Dani, what's on your radar?
Hi, Ant. So today I have the E-mini Dow. So just for me, since I've been back trading, right? You know, I'm an indices girl. I love the S&P, I love the NASDAQ, and out of the corner of my eye, I keep checking out the Dow. So I thought it'd be perfect today to talk about one of the Dow's alerts. It's a bearish alert. It trades more than one standard deviation below the 5-day moving average. So we're thinking Bollinger Bands, right? Something I don't look at. I like my charts clean. I have my one indicator, my one system that I use, and I don't want to add anything else, but I like to know what everybody else is looking at. And we know throughout all the years it's Bollinger Bands, moving averages, percent ups, downs. So this is a great way on Wazzabull to get that information and not cloud my screens, right? So it's a 3-hour outlook. 55% it's a downward move. You have your target price. 45%, there's an upward target. You have that, right? You have the exact price that it traded when it hit more than one standard deviation, right? And the price is 27,197. So, looking at it, you know where it's going. It's a bearish alert. I know my target prices. I check out the update report, which hit about 40 minutes after the alert came out, and it hit the downside target. So there's follow through with the momentum of the trend. Great, awesome. In case it didn't hit that downward trend target, I already know on the upside where it's going, which is perfect, because if I'm starting to trade this market, I want to know where it's going on either end, right? I don't have a bias because I'm not familiar with the market just yet. I have all my other biases in the markets I'm familiar with, but now I can watch and see how this market plays out, right?
What I really like about this alert for E-mini S&P or E-mini NASDAQ traders is that you may not be watching the Dow, like you said, having a chart up, but this will give you a notification that something is just triggered. And like we said, in this specific instance, it was trades more than one standard deviation below the 5-day moving average. So pretty helpful for somebody who doesn't want to go out and program alerts. This automatically does it for you.
Exactly. Perfect. Now, in this same alert, it's a bearish alert, right? Trades more than 1 standard deviation below the 5-day moving average, 3-hour outlook with an update. It hit the downside target. Great. So now there's a 5-day outlook on the same alert with an upside move. Interesting. To me, I think that's interesting because if there are markets that I want to trade intraday and markets that I want to trade long term, I get both sides of that story, right? So now we're waiting on the play out of this outlook, but now I can see again, the upside is where it's going, which it typically does based upon their back testing, right? But again, if it doesn't, I know exactly what price point I'm looking for, where the market's looking for based upon this alert. It shows me upside and downside, long term and short term.
What's interesting to me about these two alerts is the first one was bearish,
Right.
and it hit the target. Well, after it hits the target, you almost could use that target as support, right? Because if you're getting this one from a 5-day outlook,
Yep.
now it might start moving up after it hits that short term. And it's pretty interesting.
Exactly. And we all know that markets have memory, right? So what's more interesting too about these alerts that come on is if you expand that little arrow at the bottom of the screen, it shows you more information about the alerts. So I love it, including the percentage of the moves, whether it's up or down. It gives you the average decline, how many points, and the maximum decline, how many points. I think that's awesome because now you're looking at, okay, well, how much am I going to risk? And really, how much possibility can I make, right?
Yeah.
Should I hold on to it a little bit longer? Should I get out of it at this certain level? What's the average? It's just more information to look at and really process to what resonates with you in these alerts.
Yeah, that's great advice, Dani. I highly recommend everybody you go and check this out, this drop-down area out. There is a lot of good information in there. Like we said, we're not just looking at alerts notifying us of something happening. There's statistics behind it. That's where they get the targets. Great stuff this week, Dani. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Next up, everybody, in Beyond the Charts, Shaun Jacob will speak about mindfulness and movement. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the show. To learn more about the charts I use, Wazzabull alerts, the basics of trading futures, and how you can even get funded to trade futures, please visit anthonycrudele.com. Now let me take you right back to trading futures. Welcome back, everybody. Linda and Mandi are still with us, and we are now joined by the founder of Yoga 2.0, Shaun Jacob. Shaun, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Shaun, talk to us about mindfulness and movement.
Mindfulness and movement is a great way to manage stress. And while I'm not a trader, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've spent the last 10, 12 years in a very, very high stress environment. And I really had trouble finding that outlet to disconnect and calm that monkey brain in my head, as well as get that physical outlet. And yoga was the perfect blend of that.
I love how yoga helps me and meditation helps me disconnect. For all the traders out there listening to this, what's the first step they can take to start disconnecting using yoga?
I think the first step is check your ego at the door. I'm 6'5", 240, and I probably am the most, everyone's like, you're into yoga, wait, you opened a yoga studio? So no matter who you are or where you're at or what level of athleticism that you have or don't have, it doesn't matter. Just walk into the room and find yourself on the mat. There's a place for you.
Yeah, no joke, everybody. When he first walked in, I was like, this is, we're going to be talking about yoga. So I want to dial it in even a little bit more. So the first step, I think that yoga classes can be intimidating. So for maybe somebody that doesn't want to go to a yoga class, what can they maybe do at home or near their desk?
There's a lot of different outlets online that have actual tutorials that'll teach you how to go through some of the basic movements. So if you do want to go to a yoga class, you can start there so you walk in and have a little bit of an understanding. There's also several different things that you can do at your desk as simple knee bends. Put your arms on your desk and go into a mini downward dog, and then come back into an upward dog. And just ways to stress and breathe, move and breathe and disconnect from the screen. Even if you did that for 60 seconds, 4 or 5 times throughout the day, you'd be amazed at how much your stress will decrease.
Yeah, I like that. That's why I asked that question, because I feel that so many people look at the yoga classes and they go, wow, I'm not going to go and do yoga for 30 minutes or 60 minutes. But that first initial step, just see how you feel. I love it. So you have a question for all of us. What do you want to ask us?
When's the last time that you were actually able to disconnect and get out of your own head?
Who wants to answer first?
Wow,
Mandy, you look
it's
ready.
been a long time. Actually staying with Linda and her little dog Domino coming with a squeaky toy, that really helps. But yeah, it's Domino.
Linda?
When I'm riding my horse, I don't think about anything else.
For me, it's really when I meditate every day. That's why I started meditating 5 years ago. And I think it's what sets the tone for me for each day. Like even before I came on air today, I did a little minor meditation.
That's another great topic, and people are afraid of like, oh, what is mindfulness? And it's like voodoo. For me, mindfulness is simply being aware, consciously aware of your thoughts. And for me, it was really challenging to get into that space. If anyone hasn't checked this out, it's called the Muse headband. It's a meditation headband that monitors your brain activity. You can set the soundscape. So I was listening to the beach. There's small waves that come in when you're in the calm, and as you get active, there's loud crashing waves. And when you're in the calm state, you hear birds chirp. So it really helps you focus on that breath and stay in the right zone. Incredible training tool. I think it's like $150, and then the app's free. You can monitor your levels day over day. It gives you trending. Amazing device. I strongly encourage somebody to check it out.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Shaun, where can people learn more about you and Yoga 2.0?
Yoga 2.0, our first location is in River North at 215 West Ontario. So if any of these watchers are in the Chicago area, we'd love to have you come in and check us out. Our website is www.yoga0.com. So yoga2.0.com with point spelled out. And our Instagram handle is yoga2.0 studio.
Awesome. Shaun, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Linda and Mandy, thank you as well. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in today. You can catch all of the episodes on AnthonyCrudele.com, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. See you next time.